result.
So much here, and the trial work, it's a zero-sums game. There's a winner and a loser. And did you develop this competitive side, this mental fortitude? Were you born with it? Were you always competitive? And what I found in interviewing individuals, a lot of times they have a background in sports, so they're really interested in sports, as opposed to maybe the pre-lit. They don't have the same competitive side. Sometimes they do, but it seems like trial attorneys are a different breed, because you're right. There is only a winner or a loser.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that going back to your question about the selection of lawyers, the competitive nature of the lawyer is so important. And yes, I'm very, very competitive, like just about every good trial lawyer, certainly great trial lawyer. And what does that mean, competitive? Someone that's very, very competitive, what are they going to do? They're going to do everything necessary to make sure they win. Everything, whether it's, working 16, 18 hours a day for how many weeks and months it is to get ready. They're going to do what's necessary to win. They just can't stand the thought of losing. And yes, I'm very, very competitive. I think someone that's in sports, that's a very key element, because generally people that are successful in sports have that competitive nature. I have that competitive nature. In terms of sports, I lack the talent. So, I wasn't, although I love sports and love playing sports, I was Mr. Competitive, but the talent is where I lack something. So I had one of my non-lawyer sons that played football 3 years, 35 games at the University of Notre Dame, and I had to catch myself not to try to live my, like the old adage, kind of living your sports life through your son or your daughter. And I had to kind of catch myself often with regards to watching him for 3 years. But he's like that. And so he prepared and, got himself in a condition that in addition to, preparation in terms of the technical X's and O's. And so, it carries over to our practice. And so that's a very key component to a great trial lawyer, no doubt.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with the obsession, the for winning, everything's on the line. So you have to do everything possible to win. And I kind of want to shift over to the business development side, because you mentioned your roles really evolved, and you're here we are doing a podcast. I know you host a podcast at the firm, and PI is incredibly saturated. It's very saturated. What is your just general big picture approach to marketing when you think of marketing and business development? And then what channels have you found have been most successful?
Yeah, I think it has to be a multi aspect in terms of strategy. Number one, you can spend a lot of money in terms of advertising. In Chicago and in Illinois, obviously we have TV advertising, billboard advertising, things of that nature. By and large, not entirely, but Chicago is, in terms of the top PI firms, kind of our old school. You won't see, I think, any of us, doing TV commercials, and certainly not, anything that's questionable in my opinion, from a professional standpoint, with guys standing on a truck with a hammer and, screaming and yelling and things of that, in a wreck, get a check, things of that nature. Those, I think, are detrimental to they're not illegal, they're not unethical, but under current rules, but I don't think they put the personal injury practice in a good light, in my opinion. Maybe I'm an old, fuddy-duddy with regards to it. But I think social media has to be fully, there has to be, a day in, day out involvement in terms of professional, whether that's an achievement, whether it's one of your lawyers giving a seminar or being on a podcast, winning an award of the local bar association. You must be constantly promoting your lawyers in your law firm. And if it's done on all mediums, professionally, eventually that's going to pay dividends. But you do have to have, in my opinion, ultimately the results, because we lawyers, we know who the best lawyers really are, right? If your relative or your dear friend is God forbid seriously injured or killed, and you really need to refer them to somebody that you have the highest degree of confidence in. It's not just a favor to a friend or something. You're trying to get a quid pro quo or something. You really need to send them to somebody that you trust 100%. We lawyers know who the really good lawyers are, and that's the reputation you want to develop. And so we encourage our lawyers, take every opportunity to write, to provide seminars, to get out there, speak, and if they achieve anything in the way of settlements, verdicts, awards, or any sort of similar professional accomplishment, the word has to go out in a professional way into the lay and the legal community at every opportunity. We have in-house public relations people, and that's all they do. And so in this case, for example, Marcy will arrange for interact with you, or set this podcast up, and then do what's necessary to kind of get me prepared and all set and ready to go with it, and then on to the while she's working on 15 other things. A big settlement occurs. Okay, what do we do? How can we get that out there? Is there a confidentiality agreement or not? If not, then it's handled a little bit differently than it would if there is. And all those things, because as you said, it's a very, if you have a lot of good cases, it's a very rewarding profession and practice, personally, professionally, and financially. And so as a result, it is very, very competitive. And it's just not a lot of people, in my opinion. I mean, my competitors are very, very talented lawyers and law firms, I have to say. And so you've got to be on your A game 24/7. And so, just for example, I think from the business standpoint, one thing my lawyers, sort of initially joke about until they realize the importance of it. If we get an inquiry, they'll tell you, Mr. Salvi, the first thing he's going to ask you, what's he going to ask you? Is he going to say, well, tell me about the case? What are the strengths and weaknesses? Tell me about the plaintiff. Where's the venue? How much coverage is there? All of those are going to come. But the first thing Mr. Salvi is going to ask is, did you sign up the case? Is the case signed up? What are you doing to sign up the case? And, always following all the rules of ethics, etc. But in my business, it's very, very common, almost on a daily basis, where we are competing, usually against pretty much the same 3 to 5 law firms for cases. And, we win ones, we win some, we lose some. I like to think we win more than we lose. And one of the things is we don't dilly-dally with regards to calling people back, setting up meetings, doing what's necessary in a professional fashion to persuade the client. We would never say or do anything that disparaged in any way, shape, or form our competition. In fact, I will almost always say, well, you're talking to law firm A, B, and C. They're all excellent, I have to say. But this is what I think distinguishes us from them, and it means no disrespect to them. And then just making it easy for them, and so that they think, okay, I'm very, very comfortable with Mr. Salvi and his firm. I think I'm in the right place. I'm gonna go with them. And then as I tell my lawyers, we have to deliver on the promise. We didn't make these promises just to get the case signed up and then know that now we can coast into victory. In my opinion, the top plaintiffs' trial firms have an obligation to produce extraordinary results than could be produced by even the reasonably well qualified plaintiff's personal injury lawyer or law firm. We should be able to produce a result that might be 50%, 100%, 3 times, 5 times or more than might be produced by a reasonably competent plaintiff's lawyer or law firm. And too often that happens where the lawyers, especially with certain complex, extremely serious cases, they keep them and they settle them for maybe significantly less than if we had our hands on it. Not always. We can't guarantee that every time. It depends on the circumstances. But those cases that are out there that are we going to require the know-how to prosecute them and then strike fear in the hearts of the insurance companies, because they know who the best lawyers are. They know the ones that are fearless. They know the ones that can whack them badly if they don't pay the amount that's demanded.